All right, we're going to move on to our building committee, and it's approval of the June 3rd, 2021 building committee meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes got. Facilities update by Mr. Toddy. I tried to give you a plug the last meeting, but I think you were researching something.
Pardon me?
You were researching. I was trying to push for you to get more employees.
Oh, well, thank you. We can always use more employees. Hi, how's everyone doing tonight?
Doing well.
Nice to see you all on this beautiful summer evening. Custodial, well, we're right in it. Students are out of the buildings, and the custodial staff is working hard, deep cleaning, stripping, waxing, taking care of a lot of the, we really focused throughout the entire pandemic on disinfecting. You've heard me speak before about the difference between cleaning and disinfecting. You can go to the store and buy lots of products that say cleaner/disinfectant. That's not true. There's cleaning and there's disinfecting. We've been disinfecting, now we're cleaning. We're getting hard into a lot of things that have been put off in order to focus on disinfecting. One of the surprise things we're finding is the directional floor stickers that we put hundreds and hundreds of them all over the district. You've seen them all in the supermarkets. Where they come up and you strip that floor and you wax it, you can still see where that sticker was. It requires about 3 times the amount of normal stripping to get that floor down to where it needs to be. It's just kind of a surprise area. Today we had a meeting with all the custodians, got together, and we just talked about summer procedures, safety. You know, stripping can be very hazardous. You can turn entire schools into skating rinks, and safety is big, especially people working in different parts of the building. We want to go over that and general topics just to get everyone on the same page, so that went well. Grounds guys have been focusing on mowing and watering. They've been working very closely with the rec department, which I'm sure Mr. Kumari knows, on the July 3rd festivities, which are all set to take place this weekend out here in the lower field and at Spalding High School. Looking forward to a great event out there. Maintenance guys, graduation is complete. That was a huge undertaking for the maintenance crew to get that set up, moved through, broke down, and retransitioned. That all went well. If you were listening during personnel, at the beginning you realized we have an open position for a skilled maintenance position and a custodial position. And here I'd like to tip my hat to Adam Houghton, who has a Facebook page dedicated to the middle school. And he's able to put job postings on that page, and they then populate out to other websites. So you may have noticed the marquee at the high school. We put it up there, and we posted it internally. We posted it the way we normally post. And we get a trickle of applicants. Using Mr. Houghton's system, we're getting, I won't say a fire hose worth, but we're getting some good, healthy numbers. That I'm getting about 5 resumes a day for people who are interested in custodial and or skilled maintenance positions. So we'll have a great pool of candidates to choose from. We're going to take our time and find the best candidate and get that position filled. William Allen School Playground. We worked through some difficulties. If you remember, the project is kind of a joint effort between the City of Rochester and the school department. The city is building a retention pond. It was part of their MS4 permitting for stormwater runoff to keep our rivers and streams of our country clean. We're building a system to help with that. And they're taking care of grading and demo of the playground as part of their project, and we're going to come back in and build it. And their scheduling and their bidding process got sidetracked, so they weren't quite ready when we were, and we've ordered our equipment, and we want a new playground when the kids return. Special thanks to Peter Norse and Dana Weber, the assistant city engineer over at DPW, who jumped right in and pulled strings and did what they have to do. Their project isn't bid out, but they brought in SUR Construction and got the piece of it that we're dependent on is taken care of. They're going to be working on it starting in the coming weeks, and we're looking good for the completion of that playground in the last week of August. So when the students return, beginning of September, they're going to have a brand new playground out there to look forward to. So very excited about that.
So, question.
Yes?
Is the construction of that retention pond going to affect the area after that, if they're delayed?
Construction of any kind affects everything around it, but that is part of our thinking and planning process. The construction of said retention pond is now slated for next summer. So there'll be no heavy equipment in there while kids are there. And part of the layout that we're doing now for our playground, we're incorporating a service entrance, a roadway to get heavy equipment in and out of the retention pond as it's being built. And then you may remember that retention pond actually becomes a feature of the school. It's a learning, there's a walkway around it, and you know, kids can walk out there and learn about you know, filtration of water and how we keep the river clean, and whatever mosquitoes and dragonflies and whatever else lives out there, that's all there for them to see and touch and know about. So
So any work we do now on the playground is gonna be out of the way or unaffected?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, we do a few updates on project. The baseball field, you may recall the material storage bins were out in the far outfield of the baseball field, were wooden and rotten and falling down, and they probably were built sometime shortly after 1939 when the high school was built. The structures became unsafe, we removed them, and with the help of SUR, we were able to create some new material storage bins. And this, actually, I was just talking about MS4 permitting. Having adequate material storage bins is part of MS4 permitting, because as you get storms, the rain comes through, and any material that you have stored becomes runoff, and it ends up into the river. Eventually, it's going to find its way there. So having proper storage bins is also part of how we keep the environment safe. And we now have great ones. Softball field improvements. Again, SUR Construction came in to work with us. The softball field had not had any significant improvements since well before I started here, since well before Coach Colson started on the softball team. So it's been 20+ years. The recommendation is you would do this probably every 10 years, so we're a bit behind. And large rocks work their way up through the ground, and they continue to erupt in the infield, and all kinds of grading issues. So what we did was we removed 6 inches of material, brought in 3 inches of new material, and kept 3 inches of the old material, mixed all that together, laid down netting underneath to keep the rocks down, and put all the new material in, and then resurveyed the thing to stake out all the locations for our bases and our baselines. And there's a kind of a creep thing that goes on over the years, and you move a base, you take the base out, and you reset it, and you take it out, and you reset it, and year after year after year, we found our whole field had shifted about 12 degrees north. So if you eyed from home plate through first base, you were no longer looking at the foul pole, you were looking about 4 feet left of the foul pole. So that's all been corrected, and the whole field shifted back a little bit to give us exactly what we need. So some great improvements, and we're looking forward to an exciting softball season next year. While we were taking care of improvements on the field, we got some painting done, and fortunately the sun was so bright in this picture closer to me here, you can't see as well as I might like you to, but the color, you can see the paint failing in the picture on the left. The one on the right has been repainted, and that red really does pop. It's about the color of Mr. Lynch's shirt. It looks great out there. So if you happen to be out there maybe for the fireworks, you can take a look at our dugouts and see what that all looks like. We also finished some painting at Chamberlain Street Elementary School. Most of that school is brick, it doesn't need to get painted, but this line right up here, the fascia board, goes all the way around the roof, and then also the lower roof. The top course that you see in that photograph is aluminum, but below that is wood. All of that was scraped and sealed and painted, and it's looking great out at Chamberlain Street. 2 big projects going on at Gonick School. The electric infrastructure upgrade is taking place. We're starting, these are 2 new service panels, one dedicated to the second floor and one dedicated to the first floor. These will be fed from a whole new switchgear in the basement. That entire old section of Gonick will be rewired, all of the old knob and tube. You may remember I showed you some scary pictures last month. It's all coming out. New stuff is going in. Simultaneously, and the same electrician is working both projects, we're doing an asbestos abatement project. And this is all I can show you of an asbestos abatement project, because when the asbestos abatement guys show up, they build a capsule around themselves, and nobody can go in unless you're certified as one of the asbestos abatement people. We hire a third-party contractor to oversee the contractor that we hired to do the abatement work, and the feedback I'm getting from our oversight company now is that we're hoping to have an all-clear by next week, which is great. These guys got in there and hustled, and think about the heat. Think about the heat that we were through. These people are in Tyvek suits in a building encapsulated in plastic and 3 courses of plastic, just really hard conditions. And so far they've done a great job, and they're moving us forward. This will allow us time to get into that floor and continue with the electric project and get all of that brought. So what you're looking at is the entrance from adjacent to the main front door to the new building. Just to the right of that is the old front door into the old building, and that's the entrance you're looking at here. And then on the other side of the building, I just grabbed a picture to show you. This is a test station that they've set up to monitor the exhaust that comes out of the building. They keep the building at a negative pressure, so any particles stay there. And all the fans that keep it at a negative pressure go through triple HEPA filtration and scrubbers to keep any particles of asbestos contained before that air is released out into the street. And then as that air is being released out into the street, we measure it and monitor it so that we know if there's any problems. If that starts beeping, run. Spalding High School auditorium improvements. Last month we approved the curtains the month before. We approved the draperies last month, and these are the risers on the stage. You may remember a set of wooden risers right here and on the far side of the stage, and so many kids in the music program, so many kids try out, and the music director wants to bring as many of those kids into the play as possible. And we end up with lots of kids. We end up with a huge chorus. And we line all those kids up on those stairs, and they sing and dance in unison. And the structure under there, it's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night, because unison pounding on a structure is probably the hardest thing you can try to build around. You know, rhythmic abuse is very difficult to plan for. So I brought in a structural engineer to look at what we had, and we decided that what we had really isn't adequate to the task. It was built by volunteers from the community, I don't know how many years ago, but it's come out and we're rebuilding to a set of structural drawings that will ensure that we have a safe platform and we can sing and dance on it for many years to come. So that project is well underway. The draperies that we approved last month are ordered, and we just installing those next month along with a new electric. So the auditorium improvements will be, when students come back, the auditorium will have a lot of nice improvements that people can look at. We're taking care of some year-end paving projects at the middle school and at School Street School. And here you're looking at the out road of the middle school, which also becomes the drop-off lane to McClellan School, and we're getting some new pavement out there. I will end facilities update, as I always do, with work orders. For the period June 4th through July 1st, completed 114 work orders. That's up from 79 were completed in the previous reporting period. We created 102 new work orders, which is up from 101 in the previous reporting period. We now have a close ratio of 1.12 to 1, which is up from 0.78 to 1 in the previous reporting period, and we have now opened 135 work orders, which is down from last month's report of 148. You've heard me say it a million times. If I'm between 100 and 200, smooth sailing. So we're in great shape. That's all I have for facilities update. Thank you.
Before we move forward, I forgot to do some personnel, but welcome to Mr. Bergwar to our show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Any questions, Mr. Todd? Mr. Lynch?
Are they putting the calcium chloride under the new paving?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Todd? Wasn't about forms. So item 3, Spalding High School roof replacement bids.
In your packet, you will see we put out a sealed bid for 3 roof replacements at the Spalding High School, and you can identify these as area A is the boiler room of the high school. That roof is in terrible disrepair and leaking. It leaks into a boiler room, which tends to be wet anyway, so that is the worst problem that we could have. Roof B is the bump out of what used to be the cafeteria of the high school. It's now classrooms 104 ABC, which is special ed. And then a small bump out in front of the music. The music roof actually would have been part of this cycle, but we took advantage under Honeywell Phase 3 a couple of years ago to get ahead on that roof because we needed to do some insulation work. So we kind of married a couple projects and got ahead on that. So it's just these 3 sections of roof. Little section here, little section here, big section here. That's what we bid out. In your packet, you can see the low bidder was Skyline Roofing, who bid $39,400. We've worked with Skyline Roofing before. They most recently completed the McClellan School project for us. I can personally vouch for the company and Mr. Clow. They did great work. No problems working with them. Happy to be working with them again. CIP bonded project 21105 is titled District-Wide Roof Replacements, and it has a balance of $149,015.81. So I'm asking this committee to put forward to finance to approve Skyline Roofing for $39,400 to be charged to that CIP line.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Pick where you want the seconds available. Any discussion?
That's a rubber roof.
Yes, sir. EPDM rubber.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Move off to finance. Anything else, Mr. Toddy?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Public comment, we don't have any here, so we're going to move close public comment. Anything under other?
I have some other, oh, sorry.
Okay. You go first.
Thank you. This is something you've probably all seen before. These are numbers, if you remember the city puts out a paving agreement with Rocks Industries for a unit costs per volume. And we had talked about doing some paving at Spalding High School. So there's 3 projects listed here. One is called the Teacher's Lot. This is the parking lot that's between the public swimming pool, the CTE, the railroad easement, and the high school, that parking lot. It's staff that parks there. It is in terrible disrepair. I did walk this parking lot with Peter Norse, the director of the DPW, and he agrees with me that the parking lot is well beyond salvaging. It needs a complete grind out and redo. You'll see 2 other numbers on here, bus route and a student lot. We're not discussing those at this time. This was, at one point we had discussed being able to pave this as part of surplus from the CTE project, and that hasn't come through. My problem is that the parking lot is unsafe. I've got teachers walking from their car to the school in snow and ice. I can't keep that parking lot safe for another winter. I need to move now if I'm going to get it taken care of. So, I have in fiscal 22 cash CIP, we have approved $205,000. I'm sorry, I don't have an account number yet because those things haven't gotten entered into Munis yet, but I'm sure that that will be in the next few weeks. We'll have a number to charge that to. So I'm asking this committee to approve and recommend to finance Rocks Industries to repave the teacher's lot this summer for the amount of $154,859 to be charged to fiscal 22 cash CIP district-wide paving projects.
Would this be done before school starts?
That is the intent, yes. Right now, Rocks Industries are working in town on, I work very closely with one of their foremen, Ryan. He's scheduling us, he understands our needs. He's worked with the school through several of our projects. He knows what needs to be done. They're finishing up the end of year projects that we're taking care of. He's got a couple of more roads to do, and then they plan to get right back into the high school. So he's on vacation next week. In fact, he's on vacation next week, but he's working. He said the only 2 people he's answering to next week are me and his wife. He's gonna, so that's, I mean, they've proven to be a great partner. And as soon as his wife's done with him, I get him full time, and we'll be digging into the high school.
I'm just looking at the amount of the teacher's lot and the bus route. It's awfully close. I mean, we're few $1,000s short of what we would need, but is there a way that we could come up with that extra funding to do both?
I always worry that means we have no money and
That
we're
would
still
be-
working with city council to try to get the money that was discussed.
I just added it, it would be 207,700.
207, so there's 205 there. I'm asking
So
this,
all we would need is 2,700 to do both. Just saying, I'm not,
Yeah, no,
I would advise against that. I thank you so much believe me, I thought that through. The $50,000 balance, I'm trying to do seal coating and line strip, so that money actually has been earmarked for other projects already. If it were, it would have been in this one if that were the case.
doing the math, and I'm
And-
like, it's only a couple $1,000 short.
No, absolutely, Ms. Stokes, I like the way you're thinking, thank you, but,
I'll make a
The other
motion.
movie would,
So
hold
if
on one
we-
second before,
Yeah.
the other, well, let's, before, wow. Let's get the motion out there and we'll get into a discussion. I think I know where you're going with the other piece.
But, are we good?
Yeah, well, we're gonna go to him right after you.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the bid from Brock's for the teacher's parking lot in the amount of $154,859.50.
Second.
All right, now back to discussion with Mr. Mayor. Are you referring to the money that was in the surplus of the CGE?
Correct.
Was that 230?
236.
$237,019.
So, so if in fact, it got released, if you will, back to us, or
No.
Deauthorized.
DOT
Yeah,
authorized.
you're authorized.
Oh,
Yeah, City council put it in the general fund.
all right.
So that's a point that would have to be lobbied by us to the city council to see if we can finish the project, which at this point then we'd be looking for what, 150, 180, 70, 160,000 approximately.
Maybe something to keep an eye on for the spring too.
Well,
Yeah.
seal coating or.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
right.
you gotta stripe it.
Well, if we get the 230, yeah, if we get the 230 and some 1,000 with 26 cents, yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
So we would have to ask for district paving as opposed to just one specific project. So
the-
that might be a conversation for this committee to reach out to their councilors.
if I can add, the student lot and bus route are definitely
Those,
non-district, that could be tied to CTE, because that is CTE
Sure.
locus.
true, if they want to pinpoint it, then obviously those would be two.
It's still less, it's not even all of it.
Well, yeah.
Right, well, and granted, they've already defunded it, or deauthorized, but, you know, is it a harder fight if we pay on our own to go out, you know, because of CTE, we'd have to go after it as
Yeah, the
District One,
safety
like you
issues,
said.
obviously, we have the first one, but the other two, that's a good lobbying position for all of us to
Hard to
be
ask.
talking to our councilors. Any other comments, discussion? All right, I'll,
You might get a second motion.
no, I'm circling two things so I know that how to add later and talk to councilors about that issue. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Myself or Dave did. One of us, pick one. Okay.
So, anything else under other?
Just like to bring up, William Allen School, they did some gardening or cleaning of the gardens in front of the school there, some volunteer help with the schools and staff members from the school there. Got all the weeds out, and then I think Mr. Toddy's crew had left off some bark mulch for them to spread out again, so it kind of made it look a lot more appealing.
Curb appeal?
Curb appeal, kind of a lot nicer, getting the plants kind of organized up, and more plants and getting the weeds out of there. So making it look a little more, looking nice.
Very nice.
I had a meeting with the new principal today,
Yeah.
and he commented on how nice a job it looked.
It's good welcoming to the new principal too.
Kudos to your staff, for the field looked great for graduation and H&R's festivities and everything else. I mean, everything looked, you know, granted, it had a rest period this fall, or this spring, so things looked great. So your staff's keeping up well, but
Thank you, I'll pass
Pass
that
it
on,
on.
sir. Thank you.
Anything else under other? Item 6, adjournment. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?